Now that our back piece is completed, we just need to install the zipper. I've already done the zipper on one side, so I'm just going to show you quickly how I stitch the other side. And if any of you need help with the zipper, I've linked below the video that I've already done on how I install my invisible zippers. So that's another thing. This is a Couture invisible zipper, which creates a much nicer finish than the one that they actually have in the pattern. So if you want to do the kind of zipper that they have instead of a Couture zipper, then you'll need to look for something else. So I'm going to start right here, because this seam is going to be closed into another piece that we're going to sew in later, and I don't want to add unnecessary bulk, so I am just going to stitch right below there. And I know from as long as I've been sewing at about what 5/8 is, so I'm just going to freehand this zipper in. So back stitch quickly, and I'm just using a regular stitch for this. Putting the zipper at about where I think 5/8 is. Okay, and as you reach the lower seam here, be careful not to sew in anything you're not supposed to. And then just do a little back stitch there to finish up your seam. And then you'll want to take it out and make sure that everything zips closed. Okay, so here's my finished zipper and what it looks like. Alright, there's my zipper. This will be closed up in a seam that we're going to do later. And now to finish the tail part, I'm going to unzip this again. And I'm going to bring this zipper to the inside. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to zip it back up again. Okay. Then you go to the inside and you're basically going to stitch from where you sewed the zippers, going to rejoin the seam again. So I need this to be on the other side. Still using a regular stitch and my invisible zipper foot. I'm going to put the zipper through here. Alright, then find where you ended your stitch. So right here. Try to get as close as you can without actually getting right on top of it. And make sure to pull the zipper out of the way, because otherwise it's very easy to sew it up inside of there, and you don't want to do that. And then start out with a little stitch and a back stitch. Okay, there's my stitch, there's my back stitch, and then I'm just going to rejoin this seam that I already made before, and then do a little back stitch there. Okay. Then if I go to my outside here, I have a finished zipper and seam, and this just needs a little pressing. Now for number 16, you're just going to be attaching the back facing to those back pieces where you just put in the zipper. So I've already pinned both of mine, and I'll show that to you really quickly. So here are mine, already pinned. It does say in the instructions that this piece is supposed to extend 5/8, but I've pinned mine matching the ends like they said to, and mine doesn't really extend past there, so just note that if you're doing this pattern and you find the same thing, that I found that as well. Now we're just going to stitch that. Oh, hold on a second. Looks like I forgot to switch my foot out. Here we go. Let's get the correct foot on there. I still had my zipper foot on there. I'm just going to stitch both of these really quickly at a 5/8 seam allowance. And if you see mine's cut off a little short here, that's because I was trying to conserve fabric whenever I cut my pieces out. So don't worry if yours don't look like that. They actually shouldn't look like that. So there's one. Now I'll do the other. And then after you have finished both of these stitches, you'll want to go to your ironing board and press these open. So go press both of those open, like so, and then come back and join me again. Okay, now that I've pressed both of these seams open, I'm just going to understitch them. So, right side of the fabric on top of the machine here, and on the inside I'm just going to sew very close to the seam line with a regular stitch. Sew this seam allowance to the outside back lining. Okay, I'm going to do that on both pieces. So that one's done. Now I need to do this one. Okay, now I'm going to go through and just trim these down a little bit so that the inside of my dress won't be too bulky. I suggest you do the same thing, and then join me again. So now that we finally have the back facing attached, I can finally put together the front and the back piece. So I've already done one side. The right side over here is already stitched. You can just barely make out that stitching. And then on the left over here, I have lots of pins in the dress because I will be stitching that side next. The only thing really to note before you put the sides together are two things. The first is whenever you attach the facing back here, you'll need to do a little clip into the side, and you'll see that because you won't be able to fold the fabric to make both pieces meet until you make that clip. And the other thing I wanted to say is at this point, whenever I'm doing my dresses, I do a permanent stitch from about the waist down, but I only do a basting from the waist up, and that's so that I can make any fitting that I need to do more easily after I try it on initially. So I would recommend that you do that if you didn't already make all your fitting marks before you started and you like to fit after you have basically the body of the garment done. That would be a good time to do a basting instead of a solid stitch. So do your basting, put your sides together, stitch a permanent stitch from about the mid-waist down, and then come back and join me. The next thing that I want to do is actually finish the outside edge of this band, and I'm just doing a regular 1/4. They say to do 1/4, and on this one I am just doing a regular 1/4 because it's going to be folded over again, so the unfinished edge will not be out and about. So I'm just going to rough hand this. Oops, still have my basting stitch on. Alright. I'm just going to do this for the whole piece. After I do this, I'm going to go back to the inside of my dress and just remove some of these fraying bits too, just to clean it up a little bit. At the end here. New York is always so loud. Okay, so that finishes my band. Now I've already tried the dress on. I just did a rough trying of it. And I can tell that my straps can already be put in, so I'll be doing the straps next. Okay, so now we're ready to do our straps. I already tried on the dress, and where they currently have the straps is almost perfect for me. Hold on, let's give the sirens outside a moment. New York is forever noisy. Okay, so here's one strap that I already did. It has an invisible stitch on the outside, so you almost can't see anything there. And then the inside you just do a regular slip stitch. So I've already started on the other strap, just to give you an example very quickly. So when you do a slip stitch, I just have this pinned to the inside right now. You're just going to go through the lining and interfacing piece, and then grab a little bit of your strap. So once again, grab a little bit of the lining and interfacing, and then just come right through the strap. Okay? So I've already done this one. Now I'm just going to knot that, and then I'll flip this over to the front and show you how I do the front of the strap. Moving on to the outside part of the strap, I've already doubled my thread here and done the knot. you're just going to grab, let's see if I can get this close enough for you. You just grab a little bit of that outside strap and then go along the inside of the strap itself. So if you keep doing that throughout the outside here, you'll have a finished seam that's almost completely invisible. So once again, just grab a little bit of that outside fabric and then go along the inside of your strap fabric. And I'll show you one more time and then you can do the rest. Grab just a little bit and then go along the inside of the strap fabric. Alright, so once you do that for the entire strap, you'll just knot it and then cut off your ends. So do that yourself and then come back and join me when you're done.